And look at that, we are live.
Awesome.
Live, ready to go. Episode 76 of the Mid-Geek Crisis. You ready to go? Ready to kick this off?
Yeah, let's just jump right into
talk
it.
about the massive leaks. The
Got
leaks.
so much content for the
so
for
much
the next
leaked
coming.
content
Thanks
everywhere,
for
just oozing out of all the orifices.
Why are you going to be disgusted? Mid-Geek Crisis. Roll the
Mid-Geek
credits.
Crisis. Let's go. Let's go. Feliz Cinco de Mayo for everybody.
Yes.
For the most American Mexican holiday. It's the day where everyone puts on sombreros and ponchos and celebrates a culture that they then kick down every other day.
It's not a holiday for my people. No. I just want to make that clear to everyone. Who's like, they're both Hispanic.
They're both Hispanic, right? Aren't you Puerto Rican Mexican?
No.
I mean,
just Puerto Rican.
You know, there's Mexican and Puerto Rican Mexicans and the Salvadorian Mexicans.
No matter what, we all say Cinco de Mayo, right?
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. Hey, Cinco de Mayo.
Or appropriately for the geek community, Revenge of the Fifth.
Revenge of the Fifth.
So I got this shirt a few years ago. It is like the perfect mix. It's like a Sugar Skull Vader. It's like the one day of the year that I can wear it, and it's like exactly on point. So
that's exactly right.
That's right.
That's exactly right. I love it. It's great. I wore my Star Wars shirt yesterday. We watched a little bit of Star Wars All Stars, Lego All Stars, or whatever it's called. Fun times with the daughter. She liked it. She enjoyed it.
There's so much. What a world we live in, where 10 years back we could watch like 3 Star Wars movies. We're like, there's only 3. Only 3 of them came out. 10 years ago, only 3 of them were out, right?
Now it's 1 trillion hours of content. I don't even know what half the shows are anymore. I'm completely out of my loop. I feel like what my father must have felt like whenever he just lost track of pop culture.
Yeah.
But
what is this? I don't even know anymore.
Rise of Skywalker dropped on Disney Plus. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah. So that was their big thing, right? That was their whole May the 4th be with you kind of thing. That was their big promotion. That they were like, hey, watch it all of it, the entire Skywalker run.
So I you know what? It was like at 10 o'clock, and I was like, how long is this movie? 2 hours? No, not going to happen. Sorry. I was like, not going to put it on. It just seemed too long. I can only get through the first 20 minutes. Wow. Hey, Rolls, thanks for hopping on.
I'll ruin my which is why I'm not drinking Corona. I am drinking Shiner Ruby Red.
Ruby Red, yes, appropriate beverage. I am drinking Wegmans coconut lime, so it's definitely on theme for Cinco de Mayo, as I understand.
Is it warm though?
It's warmish. It's like 40 degrees in my basement, man. I'm still in Syracuse. I have not left the Polar North.
I'm just thinking that's the one flavor I can't drink warm. Anything coconut, the coconut seltzers, they all taste like suntan lotion when they're warm.
You pretend like I have a sense of taste. There's literally nothing I love. I drink things because I'm thirsty. I eat things because I'm hungry. I don't enjoy anything.
Just fills the void for just feeding the
second or two. I'm like, I feel a little better. Let me just keep moving.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, Trader Joe's chocolate stout is actually pretty good. That is
solid choice for a dessert beer. Rolls.
Our producer is a big fan of the Bud Light Ritas and the amount of sugar. I think there's more sugar than alcohol in those. But no, I'm wrong. He proved me wrong. Apparently they're like pretty high in alcohol content, and
he got addicted to them when he was hanging out in high school, I assume, and never kicked the habit. That's enough producer burns for today. What have we got to talk about? So much good stuff.
Let's kick it off. First off, well, I mean, yesterday was a Star Wars day, and like you said, you watched some Star Wars. I didn't get a chance to. I did play a little bit. Side again. Thank you for reminding me about it. Right before yesterday on Sunday, or I guess Saturday. Out of nowhere, out of the blue, and I'm going to keep my producer here on his toes. So Battlefront, the original EA Battlefront, like the one from like Xbox genre days, they turned on the online multiplayer again.
For everybody, forever,
for everyone. It's just on. Like the game that they had shut it off, it went dark like 10 years ago, and so everyone has been playing it with like hacks and like multiple ways, EA turned on the server. So all of a sudden you can click. They haven't been live since GameSpy.
Wow.
There we go. Look at that. That's unbelievable. The original Star Wars, but it just goes online and GOG with crossplay.
Did they also add maps to it, or is it just
no? It's just everyone. You know,
one? This is the one everyone loved.
Everyone loves this. This is like one of the original like developer pandemic studios. How funny.
Oh God. Now you've made me sad.
It's just an interesting thing to do. Like, here's a game way back in 2004.
16 years ago. Holy cow.
Yeah, man. And they just flipped the servers back on, and there we go. Like,
was there an announcement, or is it just like the janitor found the switch? Like what?
Something like that. I don't think there was.
Hey,
I think
guys, what's this switch do? Oh shit, we can play Star Wars.
So the machine that's behind the sheetrock just got flipped on, and all of a sudden,
it's a mysterious
there it is, man. Like this was the old kind of like Battlefront, which was very early on that Battlefield style gameplay. Yeah. But I mean, this wasn't just. Look
how beautiful that is!
This is what people wanted when EA got the rights to it, and
look at we didn't get. Wait, it's like flipping only like 1 terabyte. This is nothing. What's the terabyte? How many teraflops is this? 3, 4?
It's like 0.5 teraflops. That's all it takes to run this.
It's a megaflop.
It's a megaflop. Yeah, it's 1 or 2 megaflops. But man, this is it. This is the game, and it's live. And I went on my Steam, and of course I have it because I bought a Star Wars pack.
Of course,
you did. Years ago, it was like a buy it, you get every Star Wars game for like $12 or some crap like that at one point. So I paid it, and sure enough, there it is. So I downloaded it, and I haven't loaded it up, but there it is. So I've been meaning to hop on and play this game because it's been years since I hopped onto this.
But it's still all multiplayer, right?
Yeah, it's all online multiplayer, but it's definitely like none of it's unlocked. Like none of it's locked behind loot boxes, right? Like it's a complete game.
All right, well that actually sounds fun.
Yeah. So it's a complete game.
Clone Wars too?
Fall 2004, man.
Hold on to your hats and your time machines. What a different time we lived in 2004.
Right. So there we go. We've got a game that just got resurrected for May the 4th, which is fantastic. I think it's great to see old games come back. And if you noticed my segue there about old games,
there we go.
Think the other story, the big drop, the big one was a huge hack on Nintendo's servers.
I appreciate you calling it a hack.
Yes, yes. Everyone's calling it a leak.
Everyone's calling it a leak. This isn't like someone spilled it to the press
from the hackers. Yes. But
literally someone stole it and delivered it to the world, which is not a leak. It's a theft.
It's a theft. It's theft.
Yeah. So here we go. Give me the download on this because I kind of understand what's going on. Source codes, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So source code is
here's the big deal is the company that Nintendo went to that developed the IQ. Now the IQ was a Korean. So Korea and China have like specific rules for video game consoles.
Sure.
And Nintendo is a Japanese company, so they don't Japan like there's just weird. So what they did is they gave it to another company to develop another piece of art called the IQ, and it was literally an N64 in a controller with built-in games.
Oh wow! Okay.
And it's a Nintendo game, but it says IQ on it, IQUE. This company became kind of like their Korean partners, and they made games and licensed and whatever else. That same company, I think they're called Onshore, I think is what it's called. By the end of it, they became their data center for Nintendo. And this is a hack that happened not recently, from my understanding, but they kept it on the down low, and that's when the information started leaking out. So slowly this weekend, early this weekend on 4chan, the depth hole of the internet, someone decided to drop a link with a big package of stuff.
That's amazing.
And the stuff that it contained was nuts, man. Like, as a intellectual property, if this was my company, I would be freaking the F out. What they dropped is source code, entire source codes for the Wii, GameCube, basically the Hollywood and the Broadway chip, the chip themselves. So the actual CPU for the Broadway and the Hollywood, which are the CPUs in the GameCube and the Wii, and then all of the data sheets and the source code for the N64. So we've now got N64, Wii, and GameCube entire schematics, everything you need to build it from the ground up online. So what that does is,
if you're like the kind of person who does that, right? This isn't like I can do it.
So here's the shady part about this will be that China gives no Fs, right?
Right.
So with this kind of information out there, there's going to be clone systems built, which.
Oh, but wait, I get advertisements for clone systems all the time on my Facebooks that have 500 games.
Right. And the difference there is all of those systems, especially like the Retro Pi systems, the Raspberry Pi systems with those are all emulators written by the community from the ground up, reverse engineered. They've taken a completed product and they are breaking it down piece by piece with their own knowledge. They are not using the information that Nintendo has. They don't have the schematics and the data sheets. That would be intellectual theft. You can't.
Sure.
So the way, like for example, if you go online right now and you download a Nintendo emulator, you could download it and play it. All of that emulation is being done by code written, and it's interpreting a system that Nintendo created in their own way through their own language.
It's like translations of like Man of La Mancha, right? Everyone's interpreting the original source code and putting out their own work.
Right.
Or the Bible even. It's like it's even so distant.
It's point A to point B, and there can be 15 different ways to get there. Nintendo has the most direct way. Everyone else is having to do multiple turns and stops, but the end result is you get to play the game. There might be some bumps and there might be some inconsistencies with the game, but all in all, it's there. The biggest scenario here is that they don't give a damn. Intellectual theft. The biggest problem as a retro gamer and as someone that loves emulation and loves the preservation of old games and even playing games on newer systems is that the developers that, and a few of them, like the developers to Dolphin, which is an emulator for the Wii and the GameCube that's been amazing, that's been out for years, have already had to put out a statement and go, we will not be looking at this. We won't be looking at it. We will not be using it. We will not be applying it. We want to stay as far away as possible.
So they're sacred texting it. They're saying, let's just burn this.
We don't want sacred text. That's exactly the best way. And people would be like, why? You've got everything you need now to make your emulator better.
The perfect emulator. Yeah.
It's the perfect. The reason you don't want to do that is exactly that. You're cheating. You're looking at a system, and what's going to happen is the wrath of Nintendo will come at them with lawyers, which means it could shut down a whole project. All of the years and years of hard work would go away because they added one line of code.
Danger?
What's that?
Emulation is in danger because of this. Like this, Nintendo could wrap up people that they don't even know for sure have used the code now, right? Because
so what they'll do is they'll wrap them up with litigation. They'll send a cease and desist to any project out there thinking that they might have used the part of their code. Yeah, exactly. Since emulation isn't perfect these days, and that's exactly right. We're going to be seeing all sorts of so. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, if you're just a consumer and you don't care, there's going to be some interesting things that come out. And there have been some interesting things. There's been some, within all of that information that got dumped, not only was source code dumped, but incomplete games, source code and demos for things that were never released. All sorts of interesting things. On a side shoot to all of this, was that this is a good example. Thank you. These are leaked demos that we got using geometry. Just nothing exciting, but this is all stuff that was being given to developers, like how to test, and these are now out in the public, so anyone can use these for their own testing.
Interesting.
So it's you're giving someone the keys to the castle. Even though these systems are dead, as in no one cares, you have to understand that as a company, your intellectual property is your lifeblood. Nintendo could resell these systems at any point in time.
Right, sure,
and do multiple things with this. They can implement that chip and rebuild it, make it smaller, and then drop it into one of their new systems as a side processor so that you would have Wii or GameCube
and if I could buy a bootleg Wii, why would I buy Nintendo's emulation of it or Nintendo Store's version of it, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And
Huh.
and we this is exciting and terrifying for the community.
For the community, because a lot of folks have built their houses on this, right? On emulation.
Right. I mean, you've got whole
their
companies
business
out
models built on,
a good example, Hyperkin. You walk into any little mom and pop retro store, and you walk in and you're like, I want to play Nintendo. Oh, well, you can buy this original Nintendo right here.
Yeah.
Or hey, we've got this new one from Hyperkin that plugs into an HDMI. It's cheaper.
I've been tempted. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, and so you're like, well, I'm going to buy that one. It might not be perfect. It might sound weird. It might look weird, but you can take that, plug it in an HDMI cord, and you're off to the races. And those systems were built. They're able to sell them because they are reverse engineered. They are not using original
all
code
their own
or
personal
schematics.
intellectual property to read these discs
or
a disc cartridges. Oh my god!
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
But no, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. It's terrifying. One of the things that which is interesting was this leak or this theft, this release happened this weekend, and multiple things had been released this weekend that have now put some weird shade to it. A good example, I'm going to share this on my end here, was that there was where's my disc there? There was a release. Someone has reverse engineered the entire source code to Mario 64.
Okay.
And what they did
Very
is
impressive.
They recompiled the entire game to be native with a PC. So you can literally double click and run Mario 64. Where the heck did it go? But I've got it run. Yeah, there it is. No PC, no emulation required. It's literally an EXE, and it's a DirectX 12 port, and you turn on your controller and it works.
Wow.
It's running like native using your graphics card, using DirectX, which is a Windows API.
And they reverse engineered
They
all
reverse
this.
engineered. They reverse engineered the entire code, the entire without Nintendo's leak. Someone compiled a copy of Mario 64. They rebuilt it using modern code and then dumped it and made it an actual Windows program.
Such a labor of love.
Yeah.
So what does specialization is overrated mean? What does he mean by analog with their FPGA devices? This stuff is...
So I think that's a perfect example with this one. And I've talked about this before. FPGA is it's a field programmable gate array. I've talked about it before. And what it is, it's one very, very dense chip. And when I say by dense, it's got lots of gate arrays built into it. You are taking code and you are telling that entire chip, hey, I want you to act exactly like this chip now.
Ah, okay. You have talked about this before.
So what you do is this chip is so big that's like, hey, the Nintendo has 3 major chips in it. Can you do all 3 of those? Yes, I can. So you boom, all of a sudden this FPGA by software, you're now telling the hardware to hardware itself. It basically flips switches, moves things around internally to become another chip hardware.
Wow.
So FPGA is really exciting for the community. But now what this does is with things like the Wii and the GameCube and all that, now you have this perfect schematics. So a company could then go, well, we've been working on an FPGA version of this. If we release this now, Nintendo will come at us thinking that we took and used this code that got released.
Ah, so they've got the cheat codes. They've got the answers in front of them. I guess is what you.
It's that test scenario, right? It's I guess the analogy I used in chat earlier was you've got a whole classroom and you've got some good students, you've got some meh students, and then you've got some terrible students. The terrible students have just hacked it and given the answer key to the entire classroom. So now even the ones that are in the middle are like, well, if I do good on this test, they're going to think I cheated.
Ah, dude.
Which it sucks. And so the entire classroom is penalized for it. That's exactly the best way.
Texture comments with Mario. Thanks, specialization. Appreciate it. Yeah. Hey, the chat comes in a little slow.
No, absolutely.
With it. Yeah, we got it.
That's exactly it. It's all in general. The Mario port is fantastic, and this is a labor of love. But they had the guy who released it with no name. There was no demo. There was no nothing. A lot of projects like this get released with like, hey, here's one level. No, this guy was like, here's the completed thing. We have no name. There's no support documentation. Bye-bye. And walked away. They're afraid. Nintendo has done it before.
Well, they've got an army of lawyers. They've sued the hell out of people before.
Right.
So I'm with you. Wow. So probably big developments throughout the year with the whole emulation community, the retro gaming community, Nintendo fans in general.
There's a great update video today. I can only paraphrase as best as I can. I'm not super technical and knowledgeable about it all. But if you look up MVG, it's Modern Vintage Gamer on YouTube. He's a fantastic individual who is actually responsible for a lot of the homebrew software that has been released over the years on a lot of the hacked systems. So if you owned like a hacked Xbox at one point, he was responsible.
Me? Never.
Yeah, right. He was responsible for like a MAME port so that you can run old arcade games on it. He was responsible. So he releases a video every Monday, and today he had to release an update. And I'm not going to play the video, but he talks about it and kind of goes through and explains, hey, what's the reasoning? What could this affect? Why would this affect? Why is this important? Should we stay away from it? Should we read it? And he kind of goes through what was leaked, what wasn't leaked. So it's a big deal. Definitely. I want people to be excited about this kind of stuff, but just be wary that the news that comes out from Nintendo and small little projects are going to be stomped down. Fires will be put out. Nintendo will protect its IP.
Sure. Yeah. That's amazing.
Oh, man.
That's amazing. Nintendo's hacks. What else we got?
Can someone here fix my computer? Cautious, are you available?
No, I barely got mine working. Are you kidding?
I think have you turned it off and on? And
yep, that's exactly my usual process.
Alt F4, I think, fixes most things, right?
Turn it on and off again.
Yeah.
Get back to us and let us know if that worked.
Let us know if that worked, absolutely.
So what else we got? Have you tried Streets of Rage? Have you played a little bit of Streets of Rage?
Yes, I have. And again, the retro community is strong. Streets of Rage 4 is talking about labor of love. Wow. That's
music is fantastic. Playing it was enjoyable. Like I was like, I'm remembering I forgot about the double and the tap and all that good stuff. My favorite part was my daughter watching me play it going, "Why'd you let that guy punch you?" "Oh, he just threw you. Daddy, you gonna let him do that?" Like it was just this amazing, like she was just behind me mocking me. Yeah, exactly. I was like,
look at this punk. We got punked.
It's in your blood? What is this? Like, how am I being trolled by my 6-year-old?
That New York comes out.
So I was like, well, why don't you play with the paddle here? Let's go. Let's rock. She's like, no, I'll just watch you.
My kid rocked it. He sat down and played it, and I went through multiple levels, and then I stopped and I went outside to sit with the wife, and I came back and he's like, "Daddy, I beat it." So I was like,
way to use those continues.
Yeah,
awesome.
Exactly. So he rocked it out and beat it. So he got the Chivo for beating it before me. And I was like, no, I gotta go do it.
Unacceptable.
Yet proud at the same time.
Yeah.
No, it's a great game. So this is one of those moments where I feel like they killed it. Not only did they make a sequel to a game that's long been stagnant, 20 plus years, they brought new stuff to the table. They did not have to rely on pixel work. It's all hand-drawn art that looks really good.
Looks great.
It runs really smooth, 60 frames a second. There are some like filters that you can turn on and off for retro mode. Not on the Xbox at the moment. I hear that they're going to be patched in for some reason.
That's okay. And it's on Game Pass, so I was thrilled to play it.
It's on Game Pass. Lot of unlockable characters, unlockable retro version of characters. They get brought back in. Music can be turned on and off. There's all sorts of depth. This is one of those times where all of that in a modern game would have been locked by DLC.
Stop it. We sound like old men.
We sound like old men, but here we are. Here's a game totally for us. It's been a blast. The combo system is really fun. I think that's one of my favorite things in the game is you can just get through it by hitting the button over and over, but knowing when and where to hit, bounce them off the wall, use specific moves.
It took me a while to realize that chaining combos gives you life back, which I was like, okay, now I understand how I'm supposed to.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's
got some.
The
depth.
game can be beat by slamming the button, but if you really want to get good, you can realize that there's a system there. Like using one of your power moves drops your life, but it leaves it in like a limbo mode, and you can get it back by
extending that combo.
It's
pretty sweet.
So, yeah, it's a good
everyone
game.
you fight has a different thing and things like that, and it's great. I'm excited to Chivo it out. So we'll see how that goes.
It does have online. There's 4-player couch co-op, 2-player online co-op.
What a weird choice.
I know. I feel like it could have done 4 or maybe at least 3 online, but what are you gonna do? Either way, we might sit down and maybe play a game. You
do it, rock and roll. It's on the PC. It's on the. It's on everywhere, right?
And Xbox, if you have Xbox Game Pass, it's on there. If not, it's I don't remember how much it is. I think it's $20 on Switch.
I want to say
24.99 on Switch. Yeah,
good stuff.
Did you play Moving Out? That's also on Game Pass as well.
I downloaded it on the Game Pass. We haven't played it because we played the heck out of it on the Switch.
On the demo
version. Yeah, we haven't played the full version yet. I'm still strung out on Animal Crossing, and so is my daughter. That's pretty much what we play all day, every day.
So I hear that you've got a PowerPoint presentation for us.
I wouldn't call it a PowerPoint presentation.
He brought graphs, folks. I was so impressed. I was like, "What is this?"
So this website's called Turnip Profit, right? It's out there. This is my first weekend buying stonks. I didn't really keep track of any of the pattern before, and then it gives you sort of an output as to whether or not you're going to make money this week.
Right.
The only thing I'm using this for, really, from my perspective, is whether or not I need to beg my friends as to what their prices are. Because if it looked like I wasn't going to make money, then I would start doing that. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining. So I've got these nice charts. I'm tracking it here. The folks at Datamine have already done all the work for me. All I need to do is just keep track in an Excel spreadsheet.
And there's like phone apps and stuff as well.
There's phone apps. There's all sorts of stuff.
You input how much you buy for, and then every day as you input, it narrows down the algorithm more and more.
Well, that's it, Adam. That's what I'm trying to figure out, right? So I bought them at 98. My lowest price is probably going to be around 125. My highest might hit 220. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is easy sibling streamer, right? For me, I have the website open. I go and I click it, and I'm all done. Yeah. You can only watch Tiger King so many times. You can only. Yeah, I into the stocks too, Kendo. I wanted to give it a try because I blasted it. Mainly, I blasted it because people optimized it. I want to see how I can figure out how to enjoy it on my own, right?
And so I want to be clear here, just because this is something that again, I have noticed, and there are. Just like a sibling streamer said, the game is already like enough work as it is, and I think that's where Nintendo knows that you can't break it with this. So here's my observation: is that Nintendo has this stock market thing going on, right? But it takes a lot of work to get a lot of money out of it. Like you can make a couple million with one full bag,
yeah.
But only if. So, for example, if you fill up 3 inventory bags full. Right.
So you need to drop 3 inventory bags.
Room for it. Second, the max I think you can get like 600 a turn up, give or take, is maybe about 2.7 million per entire bag. Now, the odds of you being the one that gets that 600 on your island so that you can walk back and forth and super low. But if you do get it, more power to you. But if you've got a circle of friends big enough, the fact that you would have to empty out your entire inventory, fill up a bag, travel to a place that you might get in, you might not, and then sell and then do it 3 more times is it takes 3 hours.
It's a ridiculous, which is why I don't like it, right?
Right.
Which is why I'm like,
but being able to do it once or twice. So this week I didn't play. I didn't buy any. I didn't do it. But I decided to do something else. But the wife was also talking to me earlier. She goes, she bought half a bag, and so today, right at dinner, I had a friend of mine send me his message and go, "Hey, mine's at 421."
What? So who is this person? No.
Yeah. Let's do it. So she sent me the dodo code. We hopped on. She sold it. She's like, I made 500,000. I was like, oh, cool. So you made a little over $500,000. But then she goes, you know what sucks in this game so far? She's like, the shopping. She's like, there's nothing to buy. And I was like, that's exactly it. Like, that's it. You go into your store and there's hardly.
Yesterday, I had an arcade machine for 64,000 bells. Yeah. The day before, I had a plasma screen TV that was like 150,000. 100K. So, there's stuff to buy. It's just,
but it's not like, so you've got so much money that you want to walk into a store and you go boop 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 boop. But they even limited, right? Like even if you go to the ATM or the the machine and do the online shopping where they send it to you the next day, you can only buy 5 items.
Yeah. Well, you can buy five items and
5 mile ones and 5 Nook shopping ones.
Yeah. Oh, but that's why people go to other people's islands and do all the cataloging, right? That's what they do.
So that's what they do. So that's where, again, the other part of the game, the other metagaming, cataloging, turn-ups. There's so much to do that you can't do it all in one day. So you really have to break it down. So it's like they've mini-gamed the game.
Yeah. Of course they have. I mean, the black point isn't bells because you can always work harder for bells. The black point is what's for sale,
Right.
which is fine. I appreciate that. And since I'm playing it slow, often I find myself without enough money. Like I couldn't buy the TV. I was like, I don't have 150,000 bells. I just put 200,000 in this goddamn bridge. So that's really like that's the sort of trade-offs I have to do all the time.
That's right. If you are a meat eater, folks, meat is hard to get right now.
To the surprise of no one.
To the surprise of no one.
I mean, we put on the tinfoil hat, right? So that's a really horrible job. Thank you to everyone who does it, right? Working in a slaughterhouse. You get a little sick because you're working next to people a lot. And a lot of that work's done by immigrants that we're locking out of the country because of all the border seal. And people aren't coming here because we're full of coronavirus. So all of these things make sense. Yeah. Our supply chain in this country is horribly broken and tragic. I mean, for some things it is. For other things, it's not, right? It's the fact that we've centralized a lot of our. I can go on. We can have an economist podcast.
Yeah, no.
About
I just wanted to a good example here, and this is just a small blurb.
But buy veggie stuff, buy non-meat products, and there's always in the freezer, especially in Texas. Yeah. I assume they're always there in Texas. You can always get some meat.
Oh yeah. We got good veggies too, so no hating there. But one of the big things is I was watching a report saying that because of the way the supply chain works, is the farmers have the food. They've got the animals to sell you, but they can't do it. So I was reading like gassing chickens because they couldn't. They were like literally getting rid of the food because they can't sell the food because the way the supply chain was broken. That
the way the supply chain feeds itself just in time, they might not have enough paperboard. They don't have any. Right. It's always a logistics problem, right? Wars are won on logistics, as is the supply chain and everything.
That's why, folks, Cautious is the best warrior of them all. He don't play war games with this guy. He's like logistically, this dude came with math for the stocks game tonight, folks.
I can talk about logistics all day, all week long. But if you really want to nerd out about logistics, the reason why Alexander the Great was amazing is because he mastered logistics. He wasn't a great general. He was just able to make sure his troops were in the right place with water and food at the right time.
He's like, the weather's hot. I should pack more water. No, more weapons.
Think about all the territory he crossed. A lot of that's desert. A lot of that's and crossing deserts with an army is hard. Napoleon learned it when he tried to cross into Russia. Right? Again, this is logistics. Traveling that way is logistics. And here's our country. We've got enough paper for toilet paper, but all of it's been assigned to schools. All of it's been assigned to factories. All of it's been assigned to places that are closed now. The big rolls, those big packs. So we don't have enough for our stores, right? That's really what it's about. The sort of way we strung it all out for that. So anyway, buy local is the answer to it all.
Oh God, yes. I will. Yeah. As much as I hate that company so much, yes, you're absolutely right. That they've got a system down. They analyze. You're right. There was a logistics guy sitting there going, if we take the order all the way to the last car that shows up, by the time they pull up, the food will be there.
It's bonkers.
Yeah.
It's bonkers. I love that math. That's beautiful.
So let's talk about creatives.
Yep. Now that we've talked about math, let's talk about creatives.
Let's talk about creatives here. So yesterday, over the weekend and onward, there some developing news had been happening. Mm-hmm. And Doom Eternal came out same day that Animal Crossing came out. And one of the promises when the game was first announced was that, hey, if you buy the special edition, you get the soundtrack with it. Well, the game came out and there was no soundtrack. The id and Bethesda had put out and go, hey, we're still working on it. By the way, when it comes out, there'll be more content with it, that sort of thing. So it finally came out and people were like, this is pretty bad. Like what happened?
Or it's got good and then it's got some that don't match that good. Right.
Right. So what they heard was, wait a minute. They went through and they looked at the metadata of it and they were like,
of course they did.
Of course they did.
They opened up. You can't just enjoy something.
You can't. Well, what they were doing is they were listening to the tracks. They're like, why is it I like this one? I don't like this one. What's going on here? And they opened up all the tracks that they liked and they came to 12 tracks. And those 12 tracks in the credits for the ID3 tag showed as Mick, as the as the actual composer and creator for the music. The other ones were all credited to someone else, Chad.
Mm-hmm.
He's the id sound engineer. So people all of a sudden started throwing him under the bus and started going, "This guy sucks," blah blah blah. And what caused the heavy hand that happened yesterday was that Mick, what's his last name? Mick. Scroll down here. I'm going to make sure I get his
Heavy
name.
metal guy.
I know his name. He's a popular guy. Mick Gordon. Thank you. Mick Gordon. He decided to come back, and he tweeted back to the person that kind of went through and analyzed the tracks and was like, "Hey man, like the tracks that you didn't do, they're like overly compressed. They just sound off. Like what's the deal here?" And Mick immediately tweeted back and pretty much was like, "I had nothing to do with that. That wasn't me. You know,
that's not my work.
That's not my work. That's it." Basically throwing Chad I don't mix those, wouldn't have done that. You'll be able to spot the small handfuls of tracks I mixed.
Mm-hmm. Way to go, Mick Gordon.
So here's Mick. He's a genius. And I'm going to reiterate that he's a genius. The dude has done amazing work, a lot of work for Wolfenstein. He did work for the original Doom. The music is just spot on. If you're into like the heavy metal, like the music really matching the action, like cranking up the music when you're like in the middle of like a Nazi gore on Wolfenstein is just like, ooh, it just feels good. Doom felt the same way. The game, the Eternal.
Like 40% of my games I play, I turn off the music almost right away. Like it's
really?
Like I drain the music way down because I want to hear the game.
Right.
Yeah,
I can see that, and with games like that, you can do. But some of these games,
some folks are different.
You really get into that, like it's like putting on the headphones, cranking it to like paint or do something. You're like, you want to just shield the world, and you're like in the mode, in the moment. And
I get it.
And Mick really got it. Like the music matches the action very well. Killer Instinct 3. Yeah, Killer Instinct. Yeah, that's a good one. The music matches the action very well. That's actually another good one. But anywho, long story short is he threw id and everyone under the bus. Id had to come back. ID Software, however you want to say it. They came back and had to put out a big letter. They put out an open letter and they dropped it on Reddit here. And it's a long letter. I have never seen a company be as transparent as this. And he pretty much states, the reason I'm doing this is because, and again, this is a recurring theme on our show, the community got ugly. They started doing threats. They started doing awful things and threatening the lead audio designer. Just personal attacks, his family, all of that stuff.
If we all weren't such a bunch of goddamn jerks, like the grown-ups in the room wouldn't have to stand up and be like, "Hey, here's what happened," right? Like it's just, I don't know. I read this whole letter and I'm like, oh man, this is the way projects happen, right? You miss deadlines, you push them out, you get what you can, you put it together and you put it out, right? They did what they had to do this.
So I'm gonna talk about two things that happened, the mistakes that happened here. Mistake number one was Bethesda. This sounds like Bethesda more than id. Bethesda promised the soundtrack with the game on release date. Id went, okay, hold on. Went to Mick and goes, "Hey Mick, we want to do the soundtrack. Can you do it? Or can you give us the tracks and we'll do it?" Mick then went, "I'll do it all.
Yep.
I'll have it ready." He accepted the timeline. He never said he couldn't do it within that time. He never said, "Oh, wait, guys, I can't do that." He said, "Yes, I will do it." Time got closer and closer. He needed more time. They pushed the deadline even further out.
Mm-hmm.
Got closer to that deadline. He still didn't make it. They eventually were like, "Hey, what you got?" He was like, "Well, I got these 12 tracks." Gave him the 12 tracks. And during the second extension, it was like, "Hey, Chad, can you go ahead and start mixing stuff?" And he's like, "Well, all I've got is the music from the game. I don't have any of the masters. So I'm going to have to use that. And it's lower quality. So is that what you want me to do?" They're like, "Yeah, well, whatever you got to give us something." So he remixed. He kind of mixed and made.
If I read the letter right, he did it with Mick's blessing.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like Mick
was like, "Yeah,
his music and did so." Yeah. He was like, "Yeah, cut these things, do whatever you want to do, make the tracks go on and on." So It's more. I mean, for me, I'm more like, oh, the fans and the artists and the artists and the fans.
So politics and a story aside, this sucked, right? For the fans that didn't complain, they got a subpar product. They should have gotten a product that was promised by the original.
It was the canvas bag of Doom Eternal.
It was the canvas bag of Doom. That's exactly right. Good throwback there. It was the Fallout 76 canvas bag. This was not the product that they wanted by the end of it. But this is the purpose of this. Bringing this up isn't just because, oh, this happened, this sucks, let's laugh. No, I want to talk about the creative side of this. At what point do we give how much creativity and control over a project? And at what point do the fans have control over the project? And when both of those kind of mix, it becomes a horrible bag.
It's a stew, dude.
A stew of shit. And we have talked about this before, that we are in a weird timeline right now where fans have so much control and input. I mean, look what happened. Sonic the movie.
Yep. And we won. We won that one.
That was a good thing.
I enjoyed
Even
the film.
Sony and all of them made money off of it. They were like, here we are. We had a movie that, glad we listened to the fans. We got a movie that people now watch over and over and over again. Like it's now a rewatchable movie.
I've maybe seen it too many times.
Yeah, right. So have I. I mean, it's a good movie now. Like it totally would not have believed that movie would have been
as you do. It's total popcorn.
Just like turn off the brain. Like, yep. That's exactly it. Sonic, perfect example of fans giving their input, yelling from the top of rafters, going, "This is not what we want." The company going, "You're right," and changing it for the good. This time around, though, this was a little different. They didn't complain until after the product had come out, and they attacked the wrong person. And I don't think anyone deserves to be attacked, honestly. I think this was all mishaps and miscommunication, and the only reason it had to put out this story, kind of this whole letter, to be more transparent and kind of put Mick on blast with his like worth ethic, is like, hey man, like you attacked one of our employees and made the internet attack his family and like, personal attack. That's not cool. So we need to put it out that, hey, here are all the chances we gave you. And
that letter was very professional. It was like, here's everything that happened. Here's where and Mick's a great employee. His work is amazing. I hope
he wins accolades for them.
We're just not going to work with them anymore because he misses deadlines, which is what it comes down to, right? Like,
so he will not be used they won't be using Mick's work for the DLC that will be coming for Doom Eternal. So they're going to be going with someone else, which sucks because that also tells you how far into development it is. It might be done, but they're going to have to go back and talk to a whole different music composer to go, hey, can you make us music for this piece of software that's going to come out before the end of the year?
No, yeah, that's true. Probably. I mean, musicians are a dime a dozen now, right? Everyone's at home making them. I'm kidding. You musicians are amazing. Speaking of creative artists, right?
But it hasn't. I mean, that's happened everywhere, right? Pretty much everything we love in some way, shape, or form, the proverbial shit has hit the fan somewhere. And this one.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars, right? May the 4th it's just not as enjoyable because of the fans, right? I mean,
right.
Steven Universe not as enjoyable because of the fans. It's like a weird time where you can't enjoy things because the fans are a little too much.
So what should we do?
What do you mean? What should we do
as fans? Should we, bronies? What should we do as fans if we want to love something? Should we just turn off the internet, not listen, not join communities, not want to be like what's the happy medium here? Like, I want to continue.
Hot take, yeah, we should turn off the internet. Just turn it off. Like, honestly, like, would I sound like a crazy person, but like, has it improved our lives that much? I don't know. I mean, this is nice. But it could also be a forum for nastiness. So yeah, unplug the internet. That's what I would do. Unplug it. That's what I've done. I don't go to fan sites and visit those sites.
I think that's the big one, right? So you, as a fan of something, but you do, right? You do and you don't. Like, there have been moments, like, for example, like tabletop. Like, if you're in the middle of working on a campaign, you will go on like Reddit and whatnot to go in. Yeah, Rick and Morty, the sauce tobacco. That's a good one.
Oh my God, yes.
the Szechuan sauce, man.
You want to drive a Rick and Morty fan crazy? Ask them if they're a Rick or a Morty. And then when they answer Rick, say, really? I think you're a Morty. And they lose their mind. We're all Mortys. Like, you're all Mortys. To yourself if you think you're a Rick. We're all Mortys.
We're all Mortys. We're all Mortys, man.
So anyway, sorry. Rick and Morty is one of those ones that I'm like, oh yes, that one got toxic so fast. It was.
But what's great about that one what's great about that one is their own community. Like their creators were like, oh, you want to get toxic, and then they like fed into it and made Rick a horrible character. And like, this is who you relate to. This is who you relate to.
Rock and roll. Yeah,
rock and
the
roll.
mask came off. So anyway, so what I do now is I go into these fan forums and I ask a question, I get it answered, and I leave. A lot of times I'll type posts. This is my therapy, right? I'll type posts in response to what I think is kind of a toxic viewpoint, and then I'll go delete. Not worth engaging on the internet because I'm not going to change any minds today, right? That's what you tell yourself. What is it? Again, a friend of the show, Adam, delivered onto me this amazing advice, the rubber ducky. Just look at the rubber ducky and it'll guide you. Just say, hey, should I do this? And the rubber ducky's always going to say no. Like he's never going to be behind your choice. Yep.
Yeah.
We've been yelling the years, still nothing has changed. That's Disney, though, right? Disney ESPN, that's a Disney property, ESPN, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
They're not going to do anything but make money. That's what their whole goal is, right? And LeBron is where the money is. So much that they're making a Space Jam 2 with LeBron, which I'm excited.
Oh my God, that's a great bring up. I forgot. I saw the logo, so I knew it was coming. I thought it was going to be one of those projects.
Write a paragraph and delete it. There you go. That's the way you interact with the.
I do it all the time.
Yep.
I do it all the time. I think I've done it at least 3 times this weekend alone. I did it on a couple of posts and some of the hateful locations that I have to be a part of. And Space Jam 2 Legacy. And you know what? I'm all for it. Give me more Looney Tunes on the big screen in any way, shape, or form.
Give me Looney Tunes on the big screen. So we've watched like snippets of it.
Of Space Jam?
No, of Looney Tunes style action, because I'm afraid the violence might rev up my daughter too much because she already hits a lot. But she finds it like so funny. She just loves it. We did the Roger Rabbit, that initial cartoon scene with Roger Rabbit and the baby where catches fire and the
that one is supposed to be hyper violent,
right? Like, but that's like the max, right? And she loves it. She like will watch it over and over again and just laugh at every single moment of physical violence. So I might have to deliver onto her some Looney Tunes just to her enjoy.
You know what? If you want to go more controlled, I would go with Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
So my worry about Tom and Jerry is that it also has Speedy Gonzales. Like
No. Speedy Gonzales is Looney Tunes, and a lot of those have actually been like almost wiped. You can't even find them unless you
really?
Yeah. That's Looney Tunes for sure. Tom and Jerry is just Tom and Jerry.
I feel like I have memories of Tom and Jerry having some questionable.
You might have watched maybe a block of cartoons.
I probably watched the block. Tom and Jerry Looney Tunes are
mixed, but definitely. Street to Rage 4 is just training her.
It really is. You're not wrong, Specialization. She is always punching me. Her favorite thing to do is to punch me in the belly. That's what she likes to do. And I've got a big Jabba the Hutt.
You've got the quarantine.
Yes, the quarantine. This is not. I am not doing anything to manage my body.
I got COVID right here. The COVID 20.
COVID 20. 25 because I like to push it to the max.
Yeah. We go multiples of 5.
Yeah, so she likes to body bang me, and I'm just like, stop it, please. But Streets of Rage 4 is just training for you. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all.
The Truffle Shuffler. That's right. No, I mean, so that's a good segue. Real quick, I forgot to mention it. Before we hop on to the next one is through adult content and whatnot. So HBO Max, the fabled other streaming service, is finally launching at the end of May. Real quick, and one of the launch shows is going to be a Looney Tunes. We're getting a whole Looney Tunes block of cartoons coming, brand new animated Looney Tunes shorts.
That's fascinating. I wonder how they're going to. I'm excited for that. That's great.
Warner Brothers Max is it's a Warner Brothers like thing. Like Warner Brothers is part of it, and it's looking pretty good, man. It's like high quality. There we go. Look at this. This is and they're going with what's interesting is the style is not the modern style. Like Bugs looks like the older style with the yellow gloves.
Oh, yeah, it looks old and refreshed. That's nice.
The Bob Campett style, I think is what it is. It's not the
look at
it's
that
not the Chuck Jones style.
Cow.
Yeah. It's definitely the Bob Campett earlier Looney Tunes, not the Chuck Jones Tweety. Later ones. So yeah, you can see that Bugs, he's very circular. That's how he was very early on.
I can dig it. I'm down. I wonder, and what is it? Daffy Duck looks like the old.
He's the old loonier Daffy Duck, right?
How quickly will the Looney Tunes fandom go toxic? I'm gonna say immediately, right?
Immediately, right?
I bet there's already people who hate this version of it, right?
Of course there are.
Have not seen a lick of it. They just immediately hate it, right?
Oh, yeah. Not only do they hate it, there's also porn of it.
Oh God, no! Why would you? Why? Don't go to the second page of the internet, people.
Don't go to the second page. Never click on page 2 of Google. That's right. Oh man. So yeah.
So HBO Max has the Sesame Street as well, right? So
Sesame Street's on HBO, but it will be on HBO Max. Yeah, they're getting like a late night talk show. Elmo is getting like a late night talk show kind of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's exactly what my daughter needs. It's a late night talk show. Wait,
no, because it's not for her. That's the best part. Recommend who watch Oz. Yeah, so that's right. So HBO Max is going to have the recommendations at the end of it. It's like, what are our other HBO Weeds? No, what's the other one?
You can watch that one with The Rock.
Yeah,
Dwayne Johnson. It was like Ballers.
I see you liked this episode of Looney Tunes. You're going to like the Red Wedding episode.
God.
Thank you. Rule 34. That's right, guys. I didn't mention the rule, but
so many
exists
from all sides of the internet. People are yelling Rule 34 at us. That's fantastic.
I left it open on purpose. I wanted to see
Why would you do that?
The first one, for sure.
Speaking of Rule 34, I want to talk a little bit about Cyberpunk 2077. Right.
Thank you. So like that segue there.
Yeah.
Boom.
So we got some fans watching it. There's some little bit of press coming out about the details of adult content through and through. I guess Australia's rating board has a very detailed report on what's in the game. Reading this has not made me excited about the game. Right. I think I love Cyberpunk for a different reason than the Red Project folks do. Right. I like Cyberpunk because it explores a dystopian future with, corporations running the world and terrible diseases ravaging the poor and the ultra poor living on the fringe and having to do, let's say, Uber style jobs for corporations to actually live and breathe. Right. So that's the sort of dystopic vision we have in the cyberpunk future that I enjoy.
Blade Runner. Yeah.
Blade Runner. Plus William Gibson, right? Some of the famous Blade Runner and Cyberpunk, even the Keanu Reeves movie, Johnny Mnemonic is a perfect example of what the Cyberpunk can explore. Project Red seems to be really into the sex, drugs, and violence of Cyberpunk, which, granted, you're an artist, right? We bring it back to the artist. You produce what you want, and if people buy it, great, good for you. But they're The amount of violence that's being portrayed in this rating board and the amount of sex that's being thrown out there feels gratuitous and unnecessary, right? They keep talking about a company. They're often shown as a company that can produce great games with amazing stories and amazing characters. This ratings, I know it's just a slice of the pie, like The Last of Us. This ratings thing where it's just like, hey, there's a sex shop with sex toys and there's sex here. There's first-person perspective sex and there's violence around sex and there's even more violence where you can shoot dead bodies and blow them up into pieces, which some people might enjoy in their games. It doesn't really do it for me. That's not why I'm here for Cyberpunk. I'm here for like cool shades and a leather coat, right? Like I'm cool. I'm there for something else. So I'm worried that and they're proud of that, right? This is one of the things the developer tweeted with something to the effect of, "What did you effing expect?" Or we're fucking Project Red, right? That's what we do. And I'm just like, that's not.
Is that not what they replied back? Is that what happened?
Yeah, there was like a clapback in there somewhere where they essentially said, "Yeah, Philip Dick, William Gibson. This is what we're talking about." I
like some Neil Stevenson as well.
Neil Stevenson, that's a fantastic example of the sort of cyberpunk
thing. Hero protagonist.
Yeah, so it's one of those things I worry about when I see a ratings board come out and be like, all of this stuff is gratuitous. And actually, I think they're giving it an 18 rating, which is a big deal in video games. Because I mean, does Walmart carry your game? And do you even need to have Walmart carry your game when you're Project Red? I don't know. But I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, artists should be able to produce what they want, but like, do we want this? Do we as a gaming community want ultra violence, ultra sex in our video games? Snow Crash. Does it give us? Neil Stevenson. Does it raise the? I don't know. I don't know how to talk about it. I'm building a thesis, but does it raise the bar for gamers? Does it raise expectations for gamers when the games that are celebrated are like that? Right, yeah, or the developers that are celebrating.
This goes back to, I mean, remember when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, or 4?
Can we think of something more modern? But yes, I do.
No, I want to go back that far because this was a moment in gaming where they had the hot coffee mod, right? The for San Andreas.
Yeah,
So
San Andreas.
the hot coffee mod was literally a piece of game that was there, and then even the developers were like, you know what, the world's not ready for that. We can't put that in there.
World's not ready.
And so then someone found it. They left it in the code, and they unlocked it by using Game Shark / memory hacks to add the part back in the game, basically trigger that part of the game back in.
And you remember that feeling of disappointed when you tried it? You were like, this is really disappointing.
Oh, what was interesting was like you the whole purpose, the mission, the hot coffee is you if you ever played it, you go on a date and then you get invited back in for some coffee, and then at that moment you have sex. Like there's a sex part in the game.
It's an awful mini game. Yes,
it's an awful mini game. You like have to hit the X button or whatever to like just like the right time, and then climax happen and whatever. It's what's hilarious about that is there was a big outrage. You had to pull that version of the game off the shelves. They did a re-release for that where it was unpatched. It was completely anticlimactic, exactly. But then like we say that we were not allowed to do that anymore, but then more and more games started adding it. A good example is them later on, God of War on the same system, PlayStation 2, came out, and there was a whole part in the game. Every time you'd end a level, you would end up on a ship, and you would have to hit the button repeatedly, make someone
to heal
climax,
yourself,
and then,
right?
Yeah, and then the jewels or the red power-ups would fly out of the room. I'm like, really? Like that's, and then you'd leave the room, and of course they got away with it because like, oh, it's artistic, right? Like they show her naked on the bed, artistic.
Yeah, no, and there's a line, right? There's the old quote, I know it when I see it, right? There's a line that you can't quite describe, but you know when you've crossed it.
Right.
And so I don't know.
At what point is it childish anymore? And at what point are we just doing it for the, like, is that it? Like, do we just need that? Is that what they want? Do they want 18-year-olds to buy this game and become I guess, is it just let's make the media so shocked that we're going to get all sorts of press no matter what? Like, is that what they're going for?
I don't know. What are the choices, right? Can I play it without participating in any of that and still do well, right? So I don't know what those choices are.
Right.
I worry about game designers that provide those choices, good or bad, right? I just was like, what is your message? What are you portraying? Violence is one thing, right? I think there's someone up there said something about that quote from The West Wing, right? Presenting violence is presenting violence. It's, The Godfather's a good film. The other one's not, right? And we know where the line is how you present it matters. And I worry that perhaps Cyberpunk 2077 and some designers, Postal, right? I think they're up to Postal 13 or whatever number they're up to, right? It's one of those games that just revels in that violence without any context. And I think you need context.
That's funny you mentioned that, because you and me were walking around the show floor at PAX East. And the new Postal was there, Postal 4 or whatever else, and they had the guys dressed in like a cult, the entire like marketing group. And no one was stopping at this booth, because I don't know if Postal was a game series that came around in our age, and then people our age are just done with that. So now they've got a new game coming out, and no one cares anymore. So
it's not shocking when it happens in real life every third day, or it used to before we shut down the country, right?
Right.
Mass shootings were a fact of life now, right? So Postal isn't all that interesting,
right?
So I don't know, and I don't know, Rolls. Like there's the kids, right? But games are made for adults now. Let's not pretend that the people who buy games now are kids. That was us. We were the kids who were sold video games, and now we're adults.
Right.
So we want games with adult themes as well, right? I want games I can play with my kids, and also I want games I can play after she's in bed. And Cyberpunk 2077 might be one of those games I play when she's in bed, but it also might be one of those games I'm embarrassed to play.
Right.
Right? Because I'm just like, this is creepy. I feel like a creeper playing this, but we'll see, right? Definitely parts of GTA 5. I was like, why?
It's the reason I don't play GTA.
Yeah,
I didn't get through GTA 5 because of that. I was like so done with that. Like,
I got something in my eye here, Rolls.
Man, hot takes here. Rolls, that's perfect. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's that.
We play a game to escape our lives, and the game that we play is a game that gives us debt and bills.
Sure. But I have a very zen room of my own. Okay, so it's got bamboo. It's very nice.
Yeah.
So anyway, for folks who are excited about the game, I'm trying to figure out what is the violence exciting you? Is the stories exciting you? Because right now I don't know what to be excited about for this 2077 game, except maybe it's shock value.
I like the entire artistic presentation. Like I'm digging the style, I'm digging the view, but
it's hitting all the right notes.
It's hitting all the right notes visually. But if story wise, I'm gonna have to do some of that stuff. I don't want to do it. Like I don't want to. That's just.
I almost turned off GTA 5 when I got to the torture scene. I was just like, why are you making me do this? Why wouldn't you let me just not do it?
Right. Why can't I just skip this?
Yeah, and if it provides that, if after I read it, because I never buy a game after the first weekend, right? If after I read the spoilers and all this stuff that I can choose an option that doesn't force me to take these routes, then I'll probably play it. Right? We'll see. The choices in game are important. That's what it's about. And I'm a renegade for life, right?
I was about to say, but don't you play Renegade?
But again, there's good violence. There's a violence that my character makes because it's interesting, and then there's violence where I can, mutilate corpses, right? Why put that in the game? What does that add to the story? What choices does that provide to the player, right? What does that tell me about
so bad that he does this. Like,
but again, look at it from a role-playing game mindset. We're all sitting at a table, we're playing a game. The DM is presenting choices for the players to choose. And if one of those choices at the table is to participate in some sort of sexual violence, wouldn't you all be creeped out at the table? Wouldn't everyone there be? I would hope most of the players there would be creeped out.
Probably the best analogy I've ever heard.
Right. So I wonder, like, why we have this in the game, right? And you could do it solo. Maybe you can explore it solo, but can you explore it stealthily? Like, have you? Here it comes. Have I consented to what the game is going to deliver to me when I buy the game? If I don't know that there's going to be dramatic scenes of sexual violence, dramatic scenes of sex, dramatic scenes of violence in general, have I consented to those acts at my table, in my space, in the video game? I worry that there's no way you could in a video game because there's so much more intense.
Right. There's so much more intense. There's so much deeper without.
I'm making a choice.
Lay out every choice. Like, by the way, 4 hours into the game, you're going to have to make this choice.
Yeah. Or 27 hours into the game. Imagine if you invested all of these choices into the character and made this character in this deep choice game important. And yeah, you're forced to commit these violent acts without any option to get out of them. And that's going to feel weird for some folks, or really good for some folks. And I worry about those folks, right? Yeah, get the nipple and pepper shoots. That's really dramatic, right? That's very dramatic, and I'm uncomfortable with it.
So, like, we've had games where if the player suggests something like that could happen, then you have always been kind of iffy about if that thing can happen or not. But then you're like, well, it's going to happen all off camera. We're not going to like.
Oh yeah, I pause the game. I say, hey, is this going to happen? I talk to the player, make sure it's okay. I often check in after the game, right? I text them later, hey, you doing okay? That was kind of an intense scene and things like that. So that's the kind of way I would run my DM games. You can't do that in a video game. You've got to process it on your own. And I think that's it's art, and I respect it. And I respect CD Projekt's sort of Project Red's approach. I respect that they're approaching it with integrity. This is who we are. Fuck it, right? We're going to fucking put dildos all over the screen and you're going to buy our game, right? Totally get it. Go for it. But also, I think it's irresponsible of game developers not to know that has an impact on their gamers and the gamer community, right? There are a whole group of people who don't want to see those games and don't want to even know about them. How do you deal with that, right? Where's the aftercare?
It's that it's the I don't even want to call it. Well, kind of, I don't even know what it's that fuck it mentality, right? Like, well, I grew up and I played Mortal Kombat, ripped people's head off. Didn't mean I was going to walk around and rip people's head off. I'm like, but you probably made other choices that have probably been influenced.
You probably yell at the waitress. I'm sorry, you probably do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. See, this is what I'm talking about.
People don't realize that.
This is the internet joke, right? Yeah. You get very upset, right? And you want to make sure you're safe.
Specialized. That's a very very valid thing. Like it's one of the reasons I don't watch any of those movies. Like I don't like any movies where they have like a boy and his dog or a man and his dog. I'm like, oh, the dog's gonna freaking die at the end, isn't he? So like I don't. Does this? Adam, my guy, please tell me that's a real story. Is that a real website?
If not, I am currently buying the.
Oh. It is.
Of course it is.
Oh Jesus! Does the dog die? See, exactly. Well, so it's one of those.
I want to address this with rules for 1 second, right?
Lead to mass shooting? No. I watched Zero Dark 30 this weekend.
No.
I'm going to waterboard someone. No.
I don't think it does. I don't think it's going to lead to that for 99.99999% of the population, and even that 0.00, it's very unlikely. I think what it does though is has an internal impact that folks don't realize they've been impacted by it. Maybe it makes you a little bit more cynical. Maybe it makes you a little less able to sympathize. Maybe it makes you a little more insular. Maybe when you encounter actual sexual violence, you process it differently, unhealthily, right?
Right. I think the people that, and this is, I'm going to do a hot take here. The people that played Grand Theft Auto and went and did the prostitutes and then shot them immediately to take their money are probably the same people that question when a story hits and then they go, well, what was she wearing?
Well, but I did that in the game just to see if I could, right? That's definitely something I did. And I was like, oh, I got money. That's, and the cops chase you and there's like a in-game repercussion and you get bored of it and you move on, right? It's the people that keep coming back to do it that I worry
keep doing it over and over like it's a mechanic that needs to happen. Like, really?
But also, like, did I process it right? Did I internalize it in some way or another is what I worry about. Right. That's all. And then I just worry about the gamer community in general. Right. What's the health of the community? These are the kind of games.
What's the health of the community? That is probably demand, the best thing you can say. Because honestly, you're right. I think the community as a whole, I think in this episode, we've talked about how toxic a community can get. And when this is what you feed the community, you can only be so surprised when the community bites back. When all you feed them is raw meat and blood.
Like, a lot of raw meat, right? And there are folks like defending this, and I'm like, hey, enjoy your violence, enjoy your sex. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, are you making sure to check in with yourself afterwards to be sure that you've processed it healthily, right? The GTA prostitute test. It's better than the marshmallow test, right? Like,
it is. It is.
Raw meat is worth a fortune now. Yeah, that's,
don't waste it. It's more for the grinder for sure.
Freeze those Jimmy Bean sausages. Jimmy Dean.
That's
sausages.
it. Garbage in, garbage out, folks. That's perfect example of it all. Like it's what it is. So, guys and ladies and gentlemen,
this
community,
is everybody,
Mid-Geekers, hour and 6 minutes into the show, we are out of here for this week. Yeah, let's we'll get around to doing something this week for sure.
Play some Streets of Rage, dude. I need some help because I'm not very good at it. So
all right, sounds good. We can rock out some Streets of Rage. We can throw it up on the stream. Like, share, subscribe, get your buddies, get your friends, get your family, tell them to hit like. Let's get those. I hate to beg, but let's get some of those Twitch numbers up. I see a lot of you guys are on Twitch. If you've got a Twitch account, you've been watching it using YouTube, watching something else.
Thanks, Rolls. Always a pleasure.
Follow us on the Twitch. Artemis will happen hopefully this week. There was an internet tragedy last week for one of our buddies, Adam, who was going to help us set up a game to kind of get a stream going and
sabotage.
Yeah, there was foul play at hands, folks.
We won't name no names, but we know which company did it.
Yeah, one company decided to take out the whole internet box of another company, like literally uninstall it. And he went down into his basement and was like, "Where's my internet?" And across the way, he lives in a house in the Northeast where the first floor is someone, the second floor is someone else.
Spilled the tea here. You're spilling a lot of tea.
I'm just saying, one company went in to install internet for a resident that lived on one floor, and they were like, "That internet over there doesn't belong to anyone, right?" Okay, and they ripped it all out of the wall. So
that's unbelievable. Yeah. And we all know which company it is. So welcome back to the civilized world. Even though I said turn off the internet earlier or later, I didn't mean it. I don't want you to turn off the internet.
Yeah, let's turn it off. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, I love you. Stay safe. Wash your hands.
Be kind. Wash your hands.
Cover your mouth. Love you. Take care.
Be kind.
Another episode in the can.
There you go.